Today we're looking at Leetcode number 121. It's a question called best time to buy and sell stock. And so here we are given an array of prices where prices index I is the price of a given stock on the ith day. And what we want to do is we want to maximize our profit by choosing a single day to buy one stock and choosing a different day in the future to sell that stock. And we want to return the maximum profit we can achieve from this transaction, and if we cannot achieve a profit, we just want to return 0. Okay, so here, example 1, we see we have days of prices, the days array, which is the indices that are the days, and the values are the prices. So here we have a price of 7, 1, 5, 3, 6, and 4. And we can see that if we buy on day 2, which is this 1, and sell on day 5, which is this 6, then our maximum profit achieved from this input is going to be 5. Here, example 2, there's no way to make a profit because there's no point we can buy where later on we can sell at a profit. Okay, so now there's two ways to approach this. Okay, we're going to go through a brute force approach to solving this, and then we'll look at a more efficient way of solving this. So here we have 7, 1, 5, 3, 6, 4. Okay, so we're going to have an array 7, 1, 5, 3, 6, and 4. So now one way we could approach this is we can go ahead and take a look at this 7 here and look at all the numbers in the rest of the array and figure out what is the maximum profit. Here it will be 0 because if we take this 7 here, there's no point we can sell this in the rest of the array where we're going to turn a profit. All the numbers are smaller than 7. We'll move on to the next number here at 1. We can sell it at 5 for a profit of 4. We can sell it at 3 for a profit of 2. We can sell it at 6 for a profit of 5. And we can sell it at 4 for a profit of 3. So our maximum profit will be 5. But then we'll have to go through the rest of the array. We have to go here at 5 and check all these numbers, here at 3 and check all these numbers. So this does work, but the problem with this is that the runtime is quadratic. It's not very efficient. We're going through these numbers twice. Every iteration we're going through the entire array. So what's another way we could approach this? Well, we can take a two-pointer approach that's going to be a little more efficient. Okay? So let's say we have a buy index, and we'll set that to I, and we have a sell index, and we'll set that to J. Okay? And so now, here we have I and we have J. And we want to check, is the value of whatever is at the buy index minus the sell index, is that greater than or equal to 0? Okay? If it's not, then what do we want to do? We want to go ahead and increment our sell index. Okay? Now we're going to check again. Is the value of the buy index minus the value at the sell index, is it greater than or equal to 0? Okay? It is. So when that happens, what do we want to do? We want to go ahead and move our sell index to where our buy index is. Okay? And now we want to continue on. We're going to increment this I over here, and we're going to check, is it greater, is the value of the buy index minus the sell index, is it greater than or equal to 0? It's not. And so what we're going to do now is we're going to update our profit. We'll have a profit variable here. We'll set it to 0. And we're going to get the maximum of the prices at sell index minus the prices at buy index okay, we'll just say, we'll call this price. And then our profit is just going to be our max of whatever's currently in our profit and our price. Okay? And then we will go ahead and decrement our by index. And we'll do the same thing over and over again until we get out of the array. Okay, so let's think about time and space complexity taking this approach. Well, if we think about it, how many times are we traversing over this array? We're only traversing over it once. We're not doing any duplicate traversals. So relative to the input size, our time complexity here is going to be linear. Okay, what about space? Are we creating any new space or extra space relative to the size of the input? I don't think we are, because we have a profit variable that we're updating as we go through the array, but we're not storing all those values. Okay, so then our space complexity here is going to be constant. Okay, and if this still doesn't make sense, let's jump into the code. I think it'll make a lot more sense once we jump in the code. So here, what we want to do is we want to go ahead and create a variable. We can call it the cell index. And we're going to set this to prices dot length minus 1. Okay, and then we'll set a profit variable, and we'll set it to 0. Okay, now we're going to create a for loop, so we can say for let by index equals prices dot length minus 1. And as long as our by index is greater than or equal to 0, we're going to decrement that by index. Okay. Now what we want to do is we want to store the values at the by index and the cell index in a variable, just to make everything cleaner. So we'll say let by val equal prices at by index. Similarly, we're going to do let cell val equal prices at cell index. Okay. And now what do we want to do? We want to check if at by val, okay, if we bought it at wherever that element is, if that minus the cell val is less than 0, okay, so what we're checking here, if this is our by val and this is our cell val, okay, we want to check if our by val minus our cell val is less than 0. Actually, we want to check if it's greater than 0. Greater than or equal to 0. Okay, if it's greater than or equal to 0, then what do we want to do? We want to go ahead and increment. We want to set our cell index to our by index. Okay, else what do we want to do? We want to update our profit. So we can go ahead and set our price. And this is going to be our cell val minus our by val. And then we update our profit. So we can say profit is going to equal math.max of profit and our price. Okay, and then we'll just return our profit. And the reason this is confusing is you have to remember that because we want the negative value, so that's why we're doing cell val minus minus by val. Because if we do it the other way, it's the price will be negative, which is not what we want. Okay, so we can go ahead and run that. And we have success. Okay, so that is Leetcode number 121, best time to buy and sell stock. It's a much more efficient way of doing it using 2 pointers versus the quadratic solution. And it's a good question to be familiar with. Okay, hope you enjoyed it, and I will see you on the next one.